how essential it is to interact with customers, okay? Now, we're talking of a conversation that's gonna take a good, 30, 40 minutes sometimes.
Right.
Well, matter of fact, that's the whole process, but we're talking of qualifying may take a good 5 to 15 minutes. Technically, you're gonna be asking questions,
Right.
over and over and over. Now, there's gonna be a few situations where you're gonna be disclosing information. You're gonna be explaining justifying factors, or maybe explaining the loss ratio, or just real life examples. So you're gonna take a good 2, 3 minutes explaining certain examples, okay? Within that conversation or that presentation, okay, it's essential for you to ask a couple questions, for you to test them, okay, to make sure that they're paying attention, okay? Now, one of the most common mistakes is to just offer information without testing the customer to see if they're actually listening. So, for example, if let's say you're giving me information and I'm in front of you, how do you know that I'm actually listening to you?
And I'm asking questions and you respond.
So if I'm responding to your questions, right?
Right.
If I'm not stuck, or if I'm not asking you, what was the question again, right?
Or what
So,
do you mean?
What do you mean, or can you explain it to me again? So if I'm able to answer the questions correctly, then that means I'm paying attention. Because only because I'm in front of you, it doesn't, and I'm looking at you, it doesn't really mean that I'm paying attention. I could be looking at you, but I'm thinking about something else.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's very important to ask questions, okay? Especially when you know it's going to take 2 to 3 minutes to complete an example, okay? Get them involved. That's what interaction means. Get them involved. So for example, if you're talking about risk, let's talk about driving without insurance, for instance, just, as a scenario. I would ask you as a customer, have you gotten pulled over within the last 3 to 6 months? And then obviously you're gonna tell me yes or no,
Right.
and I'll continue my conversation based on that.
Mm-hmm.
And then as I'm going into details as far as the risk, getting a ticket for $700, being in an accident, being responsible for $3,000, getting your license suspended, I'm gonna ask you, have you been involved in these type of situations? And if you haven't, what would you say if you do? If you encounter these type of situations, what would you do? And also, I would also test you based on a visual aspect of the scenario. For example, I'm writing my examples, I'll circle certain examples just to see if you're actually paying attention as well. So technically, with your eyes, you're following my presentation that I have on paper.
Right.
So when I'm asking you questions and I'm, writing down information on the paper, that's another way that I'll test your what's it called? I'll test you to see if you're actually paying attention and you're focused on the information that I give you. Because if not, by the time I give you the prices, if I haven't convinced you, then you're probably gonna say no, and then most likely that's gonna be an issue because I'm not gonna be able to convince you, not based on the information that I'm giving you, based on your concentration or your focus. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Now, once again, it's important to interact with customers at all times. You shouldn't go 2, 3 minutes without asking a question. Throw a question in between your presentation. Okay, just test them out, get them involved, make sure that they're paying attention and they're actually understanding the information. Another good way is just ask them if they have any questions, or ask them, do you understand the information I'm giving you? Do you have any questions? Is there anything that that I didn't explain correctly?
Right.
And then that's a way of just allowing the customer to tell you, no, I understand everything. Or you know what, actually I didn't understand. They may open up and tell you exactly what they feel at the moment, and that's going to allow you to get your point across. Okay. Any
Right.
questions as far as interacting with clients?
I mean, it's safe to assume that we don't have to keep the conversation strictly business.
I mean, you
Strictly
can, yeah,
insurance?
well, definitely no, not at all, because we're also talking of breaking the ice, for example. That's another topic. But when you break the ice, you try to find something that's going to be relevant to the customer, something that maybe you can connect with the customer. It could be a hobby, it could be a cell phone, it could be maybe a jersey or something that they have that you could start a conversation. So it doesn't necessarily have to be 100% insurance. Why don't we call it that? Instead of calling it business, let's call it insurance. So the conversation does not have to be 100% just about insurance, because you're gonna throw a couple things out there to break the ice. Maybe, you know, the kids, maybe, you know, anything that you could use, okay, to break the ice. And of course, you can kind of use that to make
Establish some trust, maybe.
establish some trust, keep them entertained as well. That's another thing. Through the 10-15 minutes that you're qualifying the customer, you could ask them, you know, how's your day, how's work, what do you do for a living? So that's breaking the ice. It's also interacting with the client, which means they're gonna open up, they're gonna share a little bit of information. Once again, you're keeping them entertained, because once again, they're gonna be in front of you for 15 minutes. You don't want them just to be in front of you looking at you for 15 minutes.
Right.
And that's it.
And not.
That's gonna be an awkward situation. So yes, it does not have to, it does not require for the conversation to be 100% about insurance. You could, you know, throw a couple of things that are non-insurance, you could say, that will help you break the ice and for them to open up and trust you a little more.
Okay.
Anything additional to that?
No.
Perfect.